Carnivora Philidae, thank you very much for the follow. I will be getting started in just a minute. I'm just getting everything set up on my back end. No, we ended up getting probably between a foot and a half and 2 feet of snow. So I'm probably out of school for tomorrow as well. That hasn't formally been announced yet, but that's my suspicion. But otherwise, like things are going really well. I've been having a lot of fun just like sitting around the house and playing Smash Ultimate. So no complaints here despite the bad weather. All right, I think I'm good to go. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site for legacy death and taxes. And today we're going to be playing some Red Prison, some good old-fashioned Blood Moon and Chalice. This is not really my normal streaming time. Normally I stream on Monday evenings, but due to the weather, I'm out of school today, and I'm kind of bored, and I just wanted to stream some Magic. I said that I'd do a debrief of SCGCon, but due to the weather, I only played 6 rounds of Magic at SCGCon, so I didn't think that would make for a particularly interesting or helpful debrief. So here's the 2-minute version. The Legacy event on Friday was tiny. We had a little over 40 people, I think it was 43, so the event paid out to top 32, so just about everyone cashed. I min-cashed, Dr. Bill in chat, top 16. The metagame there was super weird. It was almost entirely control decks and chalice decks. So there was a lot of post, a lot of loam, a lot of miracles, a lot of Grixis. I did not see a Delver deck in the room all day, and I think there was like 1 combo deck in the room. So the meta was super unusual. To just flash the deck list that both I and Dr. Bill played. Here it is. Wait. No. This one looks right. Yeah, so the deck list had a whopping 3 Palace Jailers to take advantage of the fact that it was good against both, like, the control decks that were running around and against Sneak and Show. I was trying out an Ancient Tomb to power out Vryn Wingmare to fight against some of the combo decks that were sort of stepping up. While the combo decks that I was expecting wasn't necessarily there, the Singleton Ancient Tomb was pretty good all weekend. Nothing too exciting otherwise. It's very similar to what I've been playing previously, other than trying out the Wingmares and dropping a Mom and dropping 1 Rashad and Port to try out an Ancient Tomb. So when I get like more reps in with this, I will probably do a more substantial like discussion of it and whether or not this is a good direction to take the deck. But we'll leave that for another day. Okay, so this is the Red Prison list that top 8'd the Japanese GP. This is Hiroyuki Kaga's list. Sort of the Neo Red Prison deck that I even hesitate to just call Red Prison, right? Because there's fewer prison elements than previously. So this is dropping some of like the ensnaring bridges that normally were in the main deck. That's usually a 4 of. And some of the other planeswalkers that we were seeing, like Karn, to instead try to finish the game more quickly with the pair of Goblin Duders. So we have Legion Warboss and Goblin Rabblemaster, both of which will create a Goblin on your turn. They're slightly different, so Goblin Rabblemaster forces your other goblins to attack each turn. And whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+0 for each other attacking goblin. Whereas Legion Warboss will go and make a token each turn, and it has Mentor, so you can attack and then put a 1/1 counter onto one of your goblins. So essentially, like, the first turn it creates a 1/1 goblin, and then effectively every other turn after that, you're making a 2/2 goblin. So they're both very powerful effects that can close games. There's a few more creatures in this build. We have a P&K and a Hazoret. Again, we're looking to end the game a little bit sooner than some of the other traditional builds. I do like the inclusion of Trinosphere in the main deck. That card seems hot right now. The sideboard has multiple copies of things that are for very specific matchups. So the fairy here is for your graveyard decks. You have things like a Braid and Sorcerer's Spyglass to deal with the prominent problematic permanents. You have Scab Clan Berserker as your generic anti-combo card, and then you have Kozilek's Return and Sulfur Elemental as the anti-creature cards, mostly hedging against D&D. Let's just get into some matches. I just wanted to play some Magic. I've logged an absurd number of hours on Smash Bros. Ultimate so far, and I just kind of needed a break from that. Scab Clan Berserker has haste. That's pretty big game in a deck where the additional mana doesn't really matter. It's also one-sided. The next D&T stream is on Wednesday, as of right now. On Wednesday, I'm going to be playing a Red Splash with Goblin Crater Maker. If school gets canceled again, I might stream a little bit tomorrow. Not 100% sure. It's one of those things where if it happens, it happens. But if it doesn't, I won't be sad about it. I mean, there's so much snow outside that I don't really anticipate working tomorrow, but we could have just a delay. So Master, in order to stream Smash Ultimate, I would need a capture card, and those cost about $250. The Switch doesn't have built-in stream capabilities. So this hand is pretty close. If I had one more mana, this would be stellar. But I have to throw this back. I can't actually do anything with this hand as is. Oh, neat. I was misinformed then. So I think my opponent's playing against Dredge. If I get Hellbent, they probably can't actually beat an Ensnaring Bridge, right? Unless they're a Flare of the Hatebound build. I guess I'll keep. I'll keep the Rabblemaster. So there's like, I forget how many. There's something absurd, 50 plus characters in this game. So I don't really know who like my main is yet or anything like that. That's just not anything I have a conception of yet. Initially, from like what I've done so far, I like Ridley and King K. Rool. The Castlevania dudes are pretty nice as well. I feel like Marth is clunky in this one. I liked Lucina better than Marth, based on my initial games with both of them. Alright, well. I guess I can still Ensnaring Bridge. So if I cast the Rabblemaster this turn, then naturally draw Ensnaring Bridge next turn, I can cast it. So I'm going to throw away this Goblin Rabblemaster because if I don't, a bridge would cost 5 next turn. Yeah, that's how things work around Christmas time. I get it. Of note, I do only have one more Ensnaring Bridge in the deck. Yeah, so there's also a Dark Samus in this game. I haven't played enough to really figure out the difference between the two of them. But I think Dark Samus's, like, shot has sort of like a stun effect on it. Alright. So fairies seem great. Scab Clan Berserkers seems great. Sorceress Spyglass for Grizzlebrand is probably good enough. Although maybe if they put a Grizzlebrand in play, that's already just, like, too late. So Blood Moon seems really slow in this matchup, and not necessarily what I want to be doing. And then I'll probably trim some of this top end as well. Yeah, so I waited for a long time to buy a Switch. I wanted one for a while, and then I finally pulled the trigger when, like, Smash was just right around the corner. I got one on Black Friday and have absolutely no regrets. I love the system to death. Like, I've gotten a lot of enjoyment just, like, playing it, and, like, it's the sort of thing that, like, I can play the games that I want, and my girlfriend and I can just sit on the couch and play the multiplayer things and have a blast. Alright, so Magus of the Moon isn't stellar. I'm considering cutting Magus of the Moon or just some of the 4-drops, because by the time I get to casting this, the game's more or less over. I think I'll cut a Hazaret and 2 Fiery Confluence when I'm on the play. I mean, I love anime. I watch anime all the time, so that's potentially an upside for me, not a downside. So I can turn 1 Chalice with this hand. How good is that? I won't be able to do anything else afterwards, though. I would need to draw a Soul Land in order to stick a threat. I think I'll mulligan. This hand is amazing. I'll bottom that. So as long as the opponent doesn't have like a Chancellor here, I'm gold. So what I've got right now is Mario Galaxy, and I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through getting all the moons. I got Smash Ultimate, Mario Kart, and Mario Party. and I downloaded Shovel Knight. Who is best girl? Like anime best girl? Or are we talking about video games now? Jeez. Double unmask. Take both fairies. Okay. If they can go off too, so be it. I'm watching a lot of the seasonal stuff right now. So Bunny Girl Senpai, the slime one, which I'm blanking on the full name of it right now. Goblin Slayer, and the bookstore one, Skull Bookseller Honda or something like that. Yeah, the time I got reincarnated as a slime. Thank you. As far as older stuff, I'm also working my way through Great Teacher Onizuka, which is pretty hilarious. But it's the kind of thing that you don't really want to like binge a ton of it. It's just really enjoyable to like watch an episode while I'm eating dinner or something. How's Gridman? I've considered watching that, but I figured I was juggling enough as is that I probably shouldn't add another to the list. Alright, on the draw, I don't really love Magus of the Moon so much, because like my opponent will have the chance to like fetch a swamp on turn 1. So I'm going to put the Fiery Confluences back in the deck. I know they're super slow, but they're a way to just like end the game if my opponent draws too many cards with the Grizzlebrand. It just gives me a chance to win. Yeah, Lord Darkview. So right at the beginning of the stream, I said that, you know, at SCGCon, I played 6 rounds with D&T. So I didn't figure that was worth a whole debrief stream. So I decided to just play around with this. My opponent has mulliganed. I can make a turn 1 bridge. And if they don't have a discard spell, I probably just get there. I'm going to go ahead and keep this one, I think. Like, I only have 2 bridges. So yeah, the event was absolutely tiny. I'm going to keep this one. My opponent has mulliganed as well. My opponent has mulliganed aggressively. Alright, so I said I had a turn 1 bridge, but that was assuming that I drew any red card. Which I did not. Alright, well my hand does nothing now. But my opponent is also probably not doing anything, so the top deck war here probably favors me. So I feel like my opponent has some sort of like wear tear effect. So maybe I should play Chalice first, force the wear tear on that, and then try to win the game with the bridge. These are not Mox Diamonds, these are Chrome Mox. Well, my opponent's mulligan to 4 was pretty nuts, and I drew pretty poorly off the top. I'm okay unless my opponent has an unmask. Well, I should say a wear tear effect's pretty bad for me as well. So I can't actually take this Grizzlebrand out of play, right? Yeah, so now I need to win with Chandra. I was thinking about whether or not I just wanted to like put this under a Chrome Mox, but there is just a world where eventually I can produce enough power. Yeah. Produce enough power to kill this, or like kill through it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I could go 4, play a land, put Rabblemaster under this Chandra plus, try to hit Confluence, but that doesn't do enough. And try to hit another bridge. If you didn't like the show after one episode, you're probably not going to like it after more episodes. Yeah, the first episode is certainly world building, right? Well, that was cute. All right, how big does this Rabblemaster get if I attack with it? And I play another one. So I'd make 2 goblins, so that'd be +3, so it'd be up to a 5. So I don't really want to play that. At least not pre-combat. I might play it post-combat. These are forced to attack in. Alright, the VOD will be up on YouTube later if you want to watch it. Have a good rest of the day. I really needed my opponent to not be able to do that again. Alright, yet another Chrome Mox is not going to do it, and I'll die to the Grizzlebrand on the swing back. I'll make 2 goblins. My opponent will block this. They'll gain 7. They're at 16, and effectively 7 beyond that. I'm super dead. It's possible I should have mulliganed my opener, but I felt pretty likely that I would draw one of the red cards in the deck to be able to slam that Ensnaring Bridge. So, like, obviously I sideboarded, so it's slightly different than this, but, you know, this is 19, yeah, so 29 of the cards in my deck were red. I felt like that was a fine risk to take. Similarly, when our opponent had 1 card left, it had to be entomb into top deck reanimation spell there. Otherwise, the Chalice makes it very difficult to get a creature into the graveyard ever, and I've just got that one on the back of that anyway. Alright, I can produce a turn 1 Chalice of the Void, and with 1 land, I have a number of fantastic plays. Depending on what my opponent plays turn 1, it'll let me know which one of these cards I need to pitch to my Mox. Not Magus of the Moon. That is the answer. Oh, well, I can just go ham here on turn 1. Life is good now. I have a Swift Clock as backup here, followed by Ensnaring Bridge so that their giant fatties could never actually attack. Life is great. one of the reasons I really wanted to like try out this deck again is because there's a ton of Cloudpost running around, both on paper and online, and I thought that it would just be a good way to attack the metagame. I'm still not entirely convinced that this deck is fine. Like, there's still a lot of basic lands running around, but there's definitely a world where this deck might be good. So probably want a Braids and Sorcerer Spyglass for any sort of artifact mana that they might be playing, as well as Scab Clan Berserker to just help close out the games. I think our deck's relatively well suited to fighting them, so I probably won't sideboard a ton. Probably go P and K out. Hazaret out. I'll probably trim a little bit of this stuff. Maybe I'm overboarding. Maybe 7 is just a ton. Because like I want all of these effects. I want all my moon effects. I don't want to drop Rager Trinisphere. Yeah, I think the Moon Stompy is probably going to be better than Soldier Stompy as a whole. Actually, maybe my Chalices aren't great. I could see that. Yeah, I like this. We end up being pretty aggressive. Although maybe I'm probably supposed to board out Transfer on the draw, but keep it on the play. That was an error. Hey, welcome. So I'm going to keep this. It's a touch awkward if my opponent just like Sorcerer Spyglasses the Chandra. Alright, so now I can go Ancient Tomb, double Exile, play Chandra. That's pretty good. That is awkward. Because I can like kill this, but if I do, I trade my Chandra for it, because I'd -3, put myself down to 2. Then the Walking Ballista would hit this for 2 and me for 1. If I just plus the Chandra, my opponent could just get rid of the Chandra anyway. I could play a Mountain, plus the Chandra, try to hit something like a Moon to make it so they can't pump that. The only other thing I can do is like plus the Chandra for mana, play a Scab Clan Berserker, force them to use 2 to get rid of that, and then try to draw into something else. If they draw a land, they can attack Chandra for 2, putting it down to 4. Minus putting it down to 3, minus... yeah, maybe I am willing to sacrifice Scab Clan Berserker. Or maybe I should just like play Scab Clan into Scab Clan, and yeah, no, I like that. That's gonna end the game quickly. Let's take out that Ballista. And then play one of these and pass. The issue is that, like, if I try to double Scab Clan next turn, does that really do anything if they hit a land? Yeah, that's just going to be an untap the Monolith here. If that's my opponent's best play here, that bodes well for me. Alright, so conveniently I have 6 mana, so I can play 2 of these spells this turn. I probably want to play Legion Warboss this turn. And then I'll only hit for 1 this turn. But then next turn, both Legion Warboss and Scab Clan Berserker can attack. Well, that is awkward. Can't cast both of these because I don't have triple red. So how much damage is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. So this is going to be a kill next turn anyway, so I will just Moon this turn. So my opponent can still untap the Grim Monolith and play something big and stupid. But I do still have this Scab Clan Berserker, which will crash in for 2. And if they have to play another spell to answer it, that'll put them down to 1, making just about anything lethal. So we're not out of the woods yet. But opponent's not in great shape. They haven't been able to just cast some giant stupid Eldrazi thing so far. So they have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana towards an Eldrazi currently. Or 8 mana more generally. So there are plenty of bad things that can come down. Like, say, Ugin or a large walking ballista. Yeah, I did. Non-creature spell. I see. Well, I guess I sit here. That's fine. I have nothing good in hand. Easy. So I kind of think my opponent was supposed to attack with the Endbringer and just, like, try to finish the game as quickly as possible. Like, attacking for 5, then attacking for 9 seems stellar, especially since you get an Endbringer ping on the turn as well. Not that it matters because I ripped the Fiery Confluence, but just more generally, I don't think you're supposed to give me time to draw towards outs there. Hey, Travis. I did. I just really had to, you know? I saw all the posts running around last weekend, or I guess that was this weekend, and I just had to do this. Okay, yeah, I was trying to figure out what you had. I was also talking with chat. I also suspect that it might have been better to just attack in with the Endbringer that turn and just try to put me on a 2-turn clock. But if you have that Ulamog, then maybe that's not actually true. Because you're just, like, trying to get that and then answer my board. Yeah, that makes sense, and that would then take me off of Fiery Confluence. Okay. So, against this Underground Sea, what do I want to do? I can just go Mountain Chromox, pitch Spirit Guide, play Chalice on 1, and then next turn play City of Traders into either Goblin Rabblemaster or Hazaret, which I think I like. Yeah, so the real question is, like, how do I want to turn 1 Chalice? And I think it's by, like, just playing a land, pitching the Spirit Guide, and then doing it, because I can cast either one of these next turn. And Travis, thank you very much for following. Alright, so we're probably playing against Grixis control. In which case, just getting a Planeswalker down is pretty stellar. Although, admittedly, this whole hand is pretty stacked at the moment. Yeah, I was really hoping for some more Legacy, but I was not going out in that weather. As was pretty much all of Roanoke, honestly. People laughed at us when we got like real scared about the weather, and they're like, "It's not going to be that bad," and they don't realize how like mountainous Roanoke really is around the edges. It certainly is that bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can just make mana this turn and play double Rabble Master. Get hyper aggressive. So my opponent can call against command, kill a Rabble Master and the Chalice. And that's fine. I'm not going to play out this mountain. I want to play Hazaret next turn, and then probably play a land and plus Chandra one way or another. I mean, they can play Deluge Main. It's not super popular right now. You would like to force that. That's okay. I have something worse. Oh, geez. That sounds like a disaster. So I don't really have a reason to like attack the Goblin Rabble Master into the Strix here. I'm content with that, just making tokens forever. Hazaret, though, is indestructible, so that's great. We've got all the bad music suggestions, I see. I think I'm going to start by plussing Chandra. See where we go. I don't need that. Oh, shoot. Well, that was a punt. That was a bad one as well. I thought to myself, I'll try to make them use their mana in combat so that I can play this Blood Moon without them really being able to respond to it, and then I've prevented myself from attacking with Hazoret, so that was on me. I don't think it's going to matter. I think we're really far ahead this game, but like it is clearly a punt. Alright, quite glad that punt didn't come back to bite me. Alright, so I'll probably play Sorcerer Spyglass for Planeswalkers, and then I have to decide how aggressive I want to be in terms of, like, more creatures. Like, I can bring in some Scab Clan Berserkers just as another annoying threat, or I could bring in something like a Braid or Kozilek's Return to try to sweep some of my opponent's creatures off of the board. I know I don't want my Ensnaring Bridge. Like, those are the easy swap for Sorceress Spyglass. And then the question after that is, like, how much more of, like, the moon stuff do I want to cut? I think when I'm on the draw, the moons largely are going to be slow. On the play, they might be fine when I can, like, turn one them. Maybe I'm supposed to keep actual Blood Moons and get rid of Magus, since Magus is really easy to kill. And then, like, make this swap. I think I like that. I want to keep this hand. I might actually just go, like, Mountain on turn 1 rather than City of Traders on turn 1 if I don't draw a land, though. Because if I just play Mountain on turn 1, I can just, like, play out all the rest of the stuff in my hand somewhat safely. Otherwise, I go Chalice on 1 into one of Legion Warboss or Blood Moon, and just have to, like, lock into drawing more lands. Preordain's been seeing a lot more play in Legacy, actually. A significant amount more play than in the last, 5 years before it. A lot of decks just really want a considerable amount more filtering than they currently have access to with just the traditional 8. Like Miracles, for example, is basically just all cantrips now. There's very few cards in the deck that don't have draw a card written on it somewhere. I'm going to start with Chalice of the Void. I don't just want to play Blood Moon, because my opponent will just, like, fetch a basic swamp, and then they'll have all 3 of their colors. And the Blood Moon will also prevent me from casting anything else other than Chalice as a follow-up. So if my opponent has K-Command and I play out a creature, I'll lose both the creature and the Chalice to that, and I don't really want that to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and Moon. It's not great, but I don't really want to lose 2 cards to a K-Command this turn. And if my opponent does have K-Command, they might not cast it this turn in order to just fetch out 2 basics. Alright, so now I just start ramming creatures out there and let them try and stick. I think I'm going to start with the goblin-based ones, because they require sort of like using an immediate answer on, or I get value out of them. I prefer to play Scab Clan Berserker later on when my opponent has, like, tapped out. Fire Confluence no longer hitting Jace is rough. I don't really know if I like that attack. I would have held that back to block a potential Scab Clan Berserker that was coming in. All It doesn't matter if they have Force of Will. Okay. Alright, Sorcerer Spyglass is awesome unless they have Gulligan's Command. But I don't think I can afford to play around that at this point. Well, this one's pretty done. Yeah, so this deck goes by a number of different names. Red Stompy, Red Prison, Moon Stompy, you know, Dragon Stompy. It's all the same stuff. Like any one of those names just refers to an archetype that is abusing like Soul Lands, Blood Moons, Chalice of the Voids with some degree of finisher. Yeah, exactly. It's essentially a mono-red hate deck. So I don't really know how I'm supposed to win at this point. I guess I can kill the click and buy some time. It's just feel bad. The second moon here is redundant. It's not going to do anything. So we'll do 1 damage to each creature, 4 damage to my opponent. The biggest issue here is that like my opponent has a second Culligan's Command, so they can just like Culligan's Command, destroy the Chalice, return click, redeploy click next turn, stripping me of my best card. So this is not a long-term solution. Or they can just do all of that with Snapcaster Mage, and then still have another Culligan's Command left over. So I'm just dead. So this will deal 2 to my face, Snapcaster attacks in for 2, and then I'll take 2 more from the other Culligan's Command. So when I'm on the play, I might consider playing more Magus to just try to like get my opponent before they have both of their basics. If I were to do that, what would I cut? It'd be like Fiery Confluence or Mana. I could see trimming some mana and leaving the Maguses in. But I kind of want to just be explosive at the beginning of the game here, so I don't think I'm going to change anything. Turn 1, Trinisphere. Turn 2, Chandra. Keep. I'm going to imprint the Fiery Confluence. The P and K is likely to do more than 6 damage if it sticks around. So opponent basically needs to have Force of Will here, or the game is over. The game continues. Yeah, I believe that every deck in Legacy is doing something degenerate in some way. They're, like, even your fair decks, like, say, Death and Taxes, they're still doing degenerate things, right? Like, Aether Vial is an extremely busted Magic card. It's just a slow, busted Magic card. That's obnoxious. Our hand was so insane, but Force of Will into Pithing Needle is just kind of the perfect series of cards to undo all of my progress here. We'll hope to hit a Fiery Confluence at some point this game to unlock the Chandra. They're targeting themselves with Click, getting rid of a Hymn to Turok. Scabclan Berserker potentially doing a lot of damage this game. I don't need much more to close things out. Okay, so that Gurmag Angler can block. I could attack in with everything and push 3 damage through this turn, but I don't really think that's wise. The Scabclan Berserker just represents two damage per spell that my opponent casts other than their creatures, and they don't have too many of those. Well, that's about the most feel-bad Ponder I've ever seen. It deals them 2, and it gets countered. I wonder if that was strategic in any way, or if that was just an error. See, the thing is, though, if they have a second Gurmag, they just, like, tap that land instead of casting the Ponder. Alright, so we're 2-1. We lost to Dredge, or not Dredge, Reanimator in round 1. But we managed to take the other two, Eldrazi Post and Grixis Control. Our opponent's certainly, like, a good player, right? Like, they've got 10 trophies this season. So, I think that was just an error. Or potentially a misclick, right? Because they tapped Island and Swamp to Ponder. So I wonder if they had a Baleful Strix in hand and they just misclicked it. That would be my guess. I'm on the play. I can turn 1 Chalice into turn 2 Goblin Idiot. I will keep. I was about to say, best draw would be another Soul Land. Now I can play, like, Goblin Rabble Master into Legion War Boss and attack for approximately a billion D. 1 Rabble Master on its own is, I believe, a 4-turn clock, so Legion War Boss plus Rabble Master, I think, is a 3-turn clock. Our top decks here are insane. Just in case that isn't absolutely clear, I think I'll now have our opponent dead next turn, like with the Fiery Confluence, if not just from the board. I've never seen anyone play something like that, Barrow 2 Guns, but that doesn't mean it's not good. So we saw Misty, Island, Ponder, dead. Our opponent could be something like Miracles. They could be something like Show and Tell. Could be Ants. Could be Food Chain. It could be a lot of things. I'll probably board Scab Clan Berserkers in, just to, like, try to be aggressive when I don't know what my opponent is doing, and then make adjustments for proper sideboarding once I have more information. So I think I'll, like, trim 2 Fiery Confluences. Actually, the Ensnaring Bridges are probably bad regardless. Yeah, but it was for Basic Island, so that makes me think less Delver. Not that they can't run Basic Island now, because some of them do, but I think I'm just going to board in 3 Scab Clans and call that good and see where we go with this. Yeah, pretty much any blue deck can keep a 1-land cantrip hand and expect to be fine. This hand is fine. It produces a turn 1 Chalice again, which beat our opponent last time, so that's probably pretty good. Feels like Ant? Feels like Ant. Although it could be Grixis Control. it's Ant, my opponent might have to, like, take a Spirit Guide so that I can't Chalice on 1 on turn 1. So they can try to go for it on turn 2. Yeah. So my opponent played out their artifact mana, which means they don't have any right now. But the easiest way for me to lose this game is probably just to an Ad Nauseam next turn. So I'm going to Chalice to make an Ad Naus kill harder. This means that if they have a follow-up discard spell in their 4 remaining cards, they can, like, strip my Chalice, and then my hand is much less good. But I think this is a fine play. This is a relatively favorable matchup for me. You know, I have Chalices and Trinispheres, although I've certainly boarded wrong. The card we'd be most scared to see from the other side of the table would be something like Hurkyl's Recall. Because if I play a Chalice on 1, that just answers both of my Chalices. Oh, are they just going to empty? Make a bunch of goblins? It's not even a bunch, right? 6 goblins? I haven't done the math, but I don't know that 6 goblins is good enough. So this attacks me to 14, then they'll hit me for 5, then 4, then 3, then 2. I have 2 different creatures to block. 3 different creatures to block. 1 that can attack as well. Yeah, I'm winning this exchange here, especially now. Hell, I might be able to just turn the corner right here and become the aggro deck. So this turn I can attack in for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Put my opponent to 8. So if I just hold back both of these creatures, my opponent can hit me for 3 and then 2. They can only do 5 damage worth, or I can just go attack in with the Scab Clan Berserker, and then they can hit me in for like 4, 3, then 2. Or no. Regardless, I think I'm going to crash in with the Scab Clan Berserker this turn. My life total is in a fine situation. And now I'll put the hard decision to my opponent, because they may need to stop attacking to prevent just like dying to board. Because if they crash in with everything, I block 1, and then I'm representing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage back. Lethal with the Scab Clan that's in hand. Echoing Truth on Goblin token would be pretty fine. Alright, so just let me confirm that I have my opponent dead here. So I play another Scab Clan. I make a Goblin, so that's 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I do have it them dead. And if they somehow prevent lethal, they can't just kill me as long as I don't tap this Ancient Tomb. It's even harder for them to actually go and, like, prevent lethal this turn, because any spell they cast is probably going to cause them to take 2 from the Scab Clan Berserkers. Romario, I did. I min-cached the Friday Legacy event, and then I intended on playing in the other event on Sunday, but it just wasn't possible. We got somewhere between 1 and 2 feet of snow, closer to the 2 feet side. I spent like 2 hours shoveling my driveway today, and I don't have a large driveway. Echoing Truth targeting Scab Clan Berserker. Alright, so that prevents lethal, but my opponent would need to have, like, Tendrils in hand in order to kill me. Or, like, Cabal Writ into Tendrils. So I'm gonna have 5 bodies, and you're at 2, opponent. So I could just attack with these 4 tokens. And then my opponent would need to, like, block, have removal spell to live. Alright, so if my opponent has 2 removals... So if my opponent has, like, double removal spell, they could kill both of these, and then kill me on the crackback. No, they'd still take 2. And Echoing Truth isn't going to save them either, because it would get rid of their clock. They could go, like, if they have Echoing Truth, they can block, Echoing Truth the goblins, and then have no clock. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a phone call. That's probably school. Hello. Yes, that is the official school is closed tomorrow message. Sorry about that, chat. Yeah, fog would have been pretty hilarious. I'm going to take 30 seconds here and run to the restroom before the next round. I will be right back. Yeah, I love the snow days. Like there are some perks to being a teacher, and just like the random snow days for a couple of days when you really just get to like relax and recuperate are really good for morale. The snow days that happen to occur right after the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate are some of the best snow days. I spent like most of Saturday and Sunday just like binging the game. It's grand. I think I have snow-covered mountains. I do. Half, though. You know, the split, for obvious reasons. Predict being the obvious reason, of course. So I have turn 1 Trinisphere or Blood Moon. This is a keeper. The mirror. Yep. Boy, our hand's bad for the mirror. We lack a threat, and we were on the draw, so the Trinisphere actually impacts us. The mirror's pretty miserable. You have so many dead cards. Like Chalice, Trinisphere, and Blood Moon all suck. Alright. Our opponent is gonna win this game. They have the threat first. Actually, I can Fiery Confluence and get rid of their Rabble Master and then play out my own Rabble Master. The world is not lost. So I guess the question is, like, do I want to play out City of Traders into Chrome Mox this turn? That would still give me 4 mana next turn. Probably not. Because I'll just, like, lose this city at some point. I don't think I want to, like, play out the Chrome Mox and then, like, potentially have it die to an opposing Fiery Confluence. Alright, opponent, you should know better. That doesn't do anything. Although they might just be getting it out of their hand, in complete honesty. So we'll do 2 damage to each creature, and then I'm going to destroy my opponent's Chrome Box to potentially keep them off of red-red. That matters a lot in this matchup. Alright, we're now in a great position, an even better position than I thought I was going to be in. Now I have the Chandra versus the empty board. I have Fiery Confluence for opposing threats. I have Goblin Rabble Master as a clock. Yeah, so I can just Chandra minus on their Rabble Master and play out my own Rabble Master. We drew pretty well out of a somewhat weak opener. This side of the deck is basically dead. I will block here. This probably indicates that my opponent has drawn Fiery Confluence, and they can just, like, deal me 4 and then wipe the board. Yep. But it's kind of something that I'm obligated to do here. Alright, so I have 4, 5. I could have 7 mana. Let's go ahead and Chandra Plus. Do I want Magus of the Moon? I guess, like, technically it's a creature. It's a clock. It'll be nice, I guess, if my opponent draws a Chandra. Yeah, I guess I can cast that. Yeah, Stompy Mirrors are really weird. I probably wouldn't have scooped until I was actually dead if I was the opponent, because, like, Confluence into Confluence as draws, or equivalent, could just still win them the game. Alright, so the Stomping Mirror is really weird because you board in a lot of, like, crappy-looking cards. So, like, other than the Fairy, all of this other stuff is potentially coming in. Like, the Chalice of the Voids are terrible, the Blood Moons are terrible, the Trinispheres are terrible, and even Ensnaring Bridge is pretty bad. So even though a lot of these cards, like, are super awkward to be playing, we probably will. So Ensnaring Bridge can be good if you get down to, like, literal 0 cards in hand, but with the modern builds, like, you have these Goblin Rabble Masters and these Legion War bosses where, like, the tokens do so much, and if you aren't, like, literally at 0 cards, these might do nothing. So these are things that attack and block. That's why they're coming in. Sorcerous Spyglass is for Chandra. It's super awkward because, like, you both have this card, but it's very important to get rid of it. A Braid can take your opponent off of, like, some of the things like Chrome Mox or Ensnaring Bridge, but more importantly, it just answers some of the idiots that are coming in as well as the main deck ones. And Kozilek's Return can sweep all the goblins off the board. When I'm on the draw, I probably want the second bridge, I guess. just because like my opponent has the chance to be the first aggressor. But on the play, I think I'll probably cut it. Maybe that's not true. Like, this card's really bad. Alright, our hand is great. I have turn 1 Rabble Master into turn 2 Rabble Master. It's about as good as we could hope for. Our opponent could do something like a Trinisphere on turn 1 that would be annoying. But then we could just, like, do everything on turn 2. Karn. Well, that qualifies as annoying. So now my Goblin Rabble Masters aren't going to do a ton because the board is going to get gummed up by Karn. I still think I play them. Because it means that my opponent can't be the aggressor right now. And with an Abrade or equivalent, I can like get a construct out of the way potentially, and then bash in. You can have a Chromox. My opponent gets a Chandra as well as a Karn. I'm pretty donezo. It's hard to tell what my opponent is thinking about at this time. Ugh, if they didn't have that bridge, I could have taken a construct out of play. I can play another Rabble Master and force a trade for this construct. Forcing my opponent to minus so that they can't get their Chandra. I think that's fine. It's super devastating if my opponent has something like a Pyroclasm or a Kozilek's Return, though, because they can just, like, lose their Karn, Pyroclasm my board, and keep a construct. It's really important to be on the play in these Stompy mirrors, by the way, in case that wasn't abundantly clear this game. My opponent has the Ensnaring Bridge Karn non-bow right now. So if my opponent keeps plussing with Karn, it's actually very unlikely that they can get to 0 cards in hand in the short term. Like, they've got 5 right now. They can probably only play 1 card this turn, and then they're losing their City of Traders. Well, that is a good one to draw. So I'll get to kill Chandra, take Karn down another peg. I'm in trouble if my opponent can produce a second body. If they just like Karn minus and make a construct to gum up the board, you can have Fiery Confluence. I'm not willing to give them Chrome Mox. It works towards them being able to cast the cards in their hand and helps lower their hand count for Ensnaring Bridge. If they go Soul Land into, like, wipe my board, destroy Chrome Mox, deal me 2, like, that sucks, but it is what it is. Alright, this game should now be over. So my opponent will Fiery Confluence me, wipe my board, destroy Chrome Mox, deal me 2, and then be able to Karn minus for the other Chandra that's in exile. And I'll just get buried under all of that. I'm not going to concede, though. This is a very good draw. How do I win this game? I think I win this game where I draw Sorcerous Spyglass to shut off Karn. So I'm going to do something that looks a little weird. I'm going to play towards winning this game. And I think winning this game involves me trying to cripple my opponent until I draw Sorcerous Spyglass. I can't actually see what card my opponent took. That's tilting. Just Magic Online things. I presume it's either the Chandra or a mountain. I guess it's not the Chandra, that's still there. So it must have been mountain last turn. Now they get Ancient Tomb this turn. So I'm just going to take a hit here for 1 damage. That's fine with me. I'm going to try to get more value out of that card. Like, if they do something like play another Rabble Master or another War Boss here, that's very good for me. Well, it's really only a 1-for-1. I guess technically I should have done that beginning of combat, in case they had another one in hand that they weren't willing to play out. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and scoop this one up. I value my time here, and I'm not gonna get through double planeswalkers. My opponent is gonna be hellbent for bridge. It's not happening. So now that I know my opponent has more planeswalkers than I do, I definitely want this ensnaring bridge out. When I'm on the play, I can consider Trinisphere just to like try and get my opponent. Because if you deploy a Trinisphere on turn 1, it is actually kind of annoying for this deck because then your Chrome box is shut off. I don't think I'm going to play both. We'll play a singleton Trinisphere, I guess. Like, there just aren't that many cards that are affected. No, that's bad. I'll keep the one bridge, even though I don't really like it. Easy mulligan. Well, I'm going to keep this one. It's definitely sketchy, though. I really want a red source. Yeah. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna top that. And I am just gonna lead on Rabblemaster and then hope to draw one more red source to cast the Chandra. I could just go Ancient Tomb into Chandra on turn 2. We lost to Black Red Reanimator. But I think just like trying to like be hyper aggressive when I'm on the play is good. And then like my turn 2 can just be Sorcerer Spyglass and name Karn. Alright. So my opponent has a Chandra. And a whole bunch of creatures. My opponent's hand is great, and my hand is terrible. That's a problem. They don't have the mana for their Chandra, and I don't either, but I'm at least closer to casting mine. I think I need my Chandra to beat that hand. It's just super unfortunate that this is where we're at. So they'll probably go like Ancient Tomb into Legion War Boss. Make a Goblin attack me for 1, then they can chump block my Rabblemaster. And I'm willing to trade here. I've got to be the aggressor right now. I've got to hope that my Ancient Tomb plus my onboard creatures are enough. Really needed a red source there to get rid of this. If I attack in with everything, my opponent can trade 2 tokens for War Boss, block one of these, trade for a Goblin, and take 3, going down to 2, and then if I draw a red source, I have my opponent dead. Or my opponent can just chump a bunch. I don't think I can afford to wait, because my opponent can just like play another P&K, or like Sulfur Elemental or Chandra, and gum up the board. So I think I need to attack now. It just feels bad. Alright, so opponent's at 2, so they're dead to this Chandra plus. Alright, so I know I have this Chandra, but since Chandra is my way to win right now, I don't want to name that. So I know they have Karns and I don't have Karns, so I'm going to go ahead and name that. For now. Karn Cyanoversa. So my opponent's Ancient Tomb no longer works. So they can play a Legion War Boss. That doesn't quite do enough for them, especially in the face of this. Yeah, I think my opponent, like, they could have chosen to chump rather than trade and leave themselves with 1 more Ancient Tomb activation. Like, because I did have that 1 Goblin that was a 2/2 due to the Mentor counter. So, like, there's definitely other ways to play that turn. Okay, so we 4-1'd. Things broke wrong in the Reanimator matchup, but barely, right? So that was an 0-2 loss to Reanimator, though? No, it was a 1-2. Yeah, so in order for our opponent to beat us on the final hand with their mold of 4, they needed to have more or less exactly the Entomb when they had it and top deck the removal the reanimation spell. So like I don't feel bad about losing there. The deck felt fine. I don't know that I'd say it felt better than fine, but it felt fine. Like we're very aggressive. The P&K and Hazaret both didn't feel overly necessary. I don't know whether or not like these are better than Karns in the current metagame. I haven't given it a ton of thought. Ensnaring Bridges as a 2-of in the main deck seems a little weird to me. Maybe those are just supposed to be in the sideboard, and the main deck is supposed to be more aggressive, like even more aggressive than 2 Ensnaring Bridge. I played against a version recently that had, like, for example, main deck Phyrexian Revokers and a couple more P&Ks. Like, maybe that's the way this deck is supposed to turn. But other than these 4 cards, I I feel more or less 100% on the rest of them. Like, I definitely like this more aggressive take on the metagame right now. If there's a bunch of like combo running around and more like Dark Depths and Post and stuff, being on 8 Blood Moons seems like a good place to be. Wait. Sorry. There's only 3 Magus. 7 Blood Moons. Yeah, I might want the 4th Magus of the Moon in this deck. Like, I understand that you don't always want 8, like, because there's basic lands running around and these don't necessarily always take over the game. But part of the appeal of playing this deck is to just be able to turn one of these 3-drops. And I kind of want that last Magus. So if I was going to play this again, I might consider just kind of like revamping the sideboard a little bit and making it so that the bridges are in the sideboard and fit in like 1 more Magus of the Moon and then maybe either 1 more Trinisphere or 1 more 4-drop in the deck, and then just kind of rework the sideboard a little bit. Like Sulfur Elemental, for example, seems kind of medium. So I might do something like put an Ensnaring Bridge and the 4th Scab Clan Berserker in the board. Or something like that. Or yeah, another point to trim might be Confluence 4. Confluence is certainly a card that I've trimmed in other versions of this deck list that I've played in the past. Yeah, like a lot of times I played with the 4th Confluence in the board even. So if you wanted to keep the Ensnaring Bridges main, you could go like -1 Confluence, move that to the board, pull probably both Sulfur Elementals out, and then play 1 other card. Maybe like a sideboard Karn or a sideboard other Chandra or something like that. Those all seem like things that might be reasonable. Alright, so this stream went relatively quickly, but that's okay. It looks like I'm off school tomorrow, so I may end up doing a stream at some point tomorrow. If I do, I'll try to announce it a little while in advance, but I don't really know how things are going to go. If you enjoyed the content today, please follow my channel. I'm streaming Legacy at least 3 times a week, usually on Monday and Wednesday evenings, as well as Saturday mornings. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my snow day, and I'm going to send you over to Arkin, who I believe is playing with a blue-white Antiquities War deck. Bear with 2 Guns. I do have a queue going, although I've kind of like scheduled everything, so I might not pull from the queue since I kind of have them carefully scheduled. To just kind of give you an idea, this is what we've got coming up, I believe. Wait, this is the old version. Hold on. Should be an updated one. Updated. Yeah. So coming up in the next week, we've got Goblin Crater Maker D&T, Ninjas, and Tess with Bryant Cook. Then I've got an Angel Stompy and a Bugloam one planned, as well as 1 D&T stream for January. So this plus 1 more D&T stream is the current queue. TES, is that pronounced Black Belcher? Am I getting that right? Yeah, I would love some Stoneblade with Palace Jailer. Is that something you'd like to see tomorrow afternoon? Because I would be game for just like scheduling that for at some point tomorrow. I could commit to that. I mean, I think Palace Jailer is a busted card, so sounds great. I do want to like plug some of Bryant Cook's stuff real quick. He just recently opened up a shop for his Epic Storm website, so you can get some self-parody stuff there. He has some like Black Belcher products that made me laugh. Yeah, but that's kind of where things are going in the next couple of weeks. I am going to take a break for maybe a week to a week and a half in the tail end of December. So I'm going home, I want to say it's Friday the 21st. and I think I'm going to get back Friday the 28th, but weather might happen, so I might not actually get back until like the 29th. So for a week or a little over that, there will be an interruption to the regularly scheduled streams. All right, so that's all I've got with you. Got for you. Thank you, and if you enjoyed my content today, please consider doing something to support me. I'm now going to turn you over to Arkin, who is also streaming some Legacy. Cheers, folks, and I'll see you again soon. And absolute flips, I missed this, but thank you very much for following.